Someone who once looked at you like you were everything suddenly started treating you like you were nothing. No warning, no explanation, just coldness where warmth used to be. Have you ever experienced that shift and spent months wondering what you did wrong? Here is the truth. You probably did nothing wrong at all. This video is about a psychological pattern called devaluation and discard. It is one of the most painful and least understood cycles in human relationships. Understanding this pattern could literally change how you see yourself and every relationship around you. By the end of this video, you will know exactly why this happens, who does it, and how to spot it before it destroys your confidence. And stay until the end, because there is one psychological fact about this cycle that almost nobody knows. It will completely change how you understand what happened to you. Psychologists have studied toxic relationship patterns for decades. The devaluation and discard cycle was first seriously explored through the work of researchers studying narcissistic personality disorder. Narcissistic personality disorder is a psychological condition where a person has an inflated sense of their own importance and a deep inability to genuinely connect with others emotionally. Researchers like Otto Kernberg in the 1970s began identifying how certain individuals form relationships, not out of genuine love, but out of a need for something called narcissistic supply. Narcissistic supply is a term that simply means the attention, admiration, and emotional energy that someone extracts from the people around them. Studies show this pattern appears most commonly in romantic relationships, but it also shows up in friendships, workplaces, and family dynamics. A little-known fact is that the person doing the devaluing rarely realizes they are following a predictable psychological script. To them, it feels entirely justified. That is what makes it so dangerous. Now let us break down the 4 psychological layers of this cycle. Each one builds on the last. Each one is important to understand. The first layer is called idealization. This is where everything begins. At this stage, the other person treats you like you are extraordinary. They compliment you constantly. They give you intense attention. They make you feel chosen and special above everyone else. Psychologists call this love bombing. Love bombing means overwhelming someone with affection and attention to create fast emotional dependency. Think of it like being handed the most beautiful gift you have ever received. You feel grateful, safe, and deeply connected. In a relationship, this might look like someone texting you all day, calling you their soulmate within weeks, and making you feel irreplaceable. The reason this stage is dangerous is simple. It creates a powerful emotional bond very quickly. That bond is what keeps you attached later when everything changes. The second layer is called the devaluation phase. This is when the warmth disappears and something colder takes its place. The same person who once celebrated everything about you begins criticizing you. Small things suddenly annoy them. Your jokes are not funny anymore. Your feelings are called dramatic or sensitive. Psychologically, what is happening is that the person has already extracted the emotional energy they needed from the early stage. Now the relationship no longer serves their need for excitement. Think of it like a phone battery. Once the charge runs out, the phone gets set aside. In a real-life example, your partner might start ignoring your messages, making cutting remarks in front of others, or comparing you negatively to other people. This layer is particularly damaging because it targets your self-worth directly. You begin to believe you changed. In reality, the pattern simply moved to its next inevitable stage. The third layer is called the confusion trap. This is a psychological state where the target person becomes caught between 2 conflicting realities. They remember the warmth of the beginning, but are now experiencing the coldness of the present. Psychologists link this to something called cognitive dissonance. Cognitive dissonance means the mental discomfort you feel when 2 contradictory things both feel true at the same time. Imagine buying a product that was advertised as perfect but breaks immediately. You keep trying to justify the purchase because you invested so much into it. In a relationship, this looks like making excuses for the person's behavior. You think maybe they're stressed. Maybe it is your fault. Maybe if you just tried harder, the warmth would return. This trap is dangerous because it keeps you in the cycle longer and makes you work even harder to regain approval that will never truly come back. The fourth layer is called the discard. This is the final stage where the person either ends the relationship abruptly or pulls back so far that you eventually leave yourself. Psychologically, this happens when the person feels they have fully exhausted whatever emotional value they were extracting from the connection. They may move on to a new relationship immediately. They may suddenly seem completely unbothered while you are left in emotional chaos. Think of it like someone finishing a meal and pushing the plate away without a second thought. In a workplace scenario, this might look like a manager who mentored you closely, then suddenly excludes you from meetings and credit without any conversation. The discard is devastating because it feels like evidence that you were never truly valued. But here is what psychology reveals. The discard was never a judgment of your worth. It was simply the end of a cycle that was always going to reach this point. Recognizing this pattern in real time is genuinely difficult. The signs are subtle at first. Emotionally, you might feel a persistent low-level anxiety that is hard to name. You feel like you're walking on eggshells. You constantly analyze your own behavior, trying to find what you're doing wrong. Behaviorally, the other person becomes unpredictable. They are warm occasionally, which keeps you hopeful, but cold more and more frequently. One real-world scenario is receiving a kind message one day and being completely ignored the next, with no explanation. Another is being praised publicly, but criticized privately. What makes this so hard to detect is the inconsistency itself. The occasional warmth feels like proof that the good version of the person still exists. That inconsistency is not accidental. It keeps you emotionally hooked. Now, here are 4 things to take away from everything you just learned. The most important insight is that devaluation is a stage in a fixed pattern. It was never a verdict on your actual value as a person. The biggest warning sign is rapid, intense affection at the start of a relationship. If someone makes you feel irreplaceable within weeks, stay alert. This behavior reveals a deep psychological limitation in the person using it. It is not power. It is an inability to form genuine human connection. One thing you can do right now is write down how the relationship felt at the beginning compared to how it feels today. Seeing that shift clearly on paper helps break the confusion trap. This video was created purely for psychology education. Nothing here should ever be used to manipulate or harm anyone. If you recognize these patterns in your current life, please reach out to a professional therapist or counselor who can give you proper support. If this breakdown helped you understand something you've been carrying for a long time, subscribe to this channel. We explain one new psychology topic every single week in simple language that anyone can use to understand human behavior and protect themselves in any situation.